We got a lot to go over today. First up, new game to Game Pass in September. At least there's a leak for it. And I think it's pretty safe to say that this leak is correct. We also learned that there's a canceled Crash Bandicoot 5 and Spyro crossover. Hello! Of all the crossovers, that's a crossover that I definitely would like to see. And then I want to take a look, and this isn't an Xbox story, but it is a gaming story, at Sony's live service shooter Concord that dropped this weekend, and it just did not do well. In fact, it was incredibly, it's like the disappointment of the century for Sony. And I want to just review and give you my thoughts on why it failed. And it has nothing to do, I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about why it failed. There's one reason it failed, and only one reason. And everybody's kind of talking around that reason, and some of them mention it, but let's just address it up front, what that reason is. We're going to go over that today, because everybody else, stop talking around it, just boom. There's only one reason that it failed. And we'll go over that today. And then last but not least, there's an article over at Bloomberg by Jason Schreier, and he calls it Xbox's exclusive strategy confusion, and that it's confusing. However, I think he gives away the game a little bit in his article. I think he's got a personal beef with Phil Spencer. I think Phil Spencer has offended him in the past. He mentions it in the article, and he's pretty anti-Xbox. And I think a lot of the press are like that. In fact, what's interesting is Bloomberg dropped this, and then Forbes, Paul Tassi had another article on this in the same vein, and it was like, guys, I'm not confused at their strategy at all. You guys are making it confusing. Like, it's not confusing to me. So we're going to go over that article today and talk about it as well. Before we jump into all of that, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. My name is X1 the Gamer. We drop videos. We have this discussion every single day. We hang out together. It's a good time. We also have a Discord. So I will pin that in the comments below. Make sure you come and join the conversation and join the community over on our Discord. First up, we already have it pulled up right here. You've already seen it on screen and reading it. Riders Republic. This is from Extras. He's a pretty solid leaker. He's been right like the last 5 times. So I tend to believe this is the truth. He says September 11th, this will drop. Riders Republic from Ubisoft. Now, this is the extreme sports game. I played this when it first dropped and had a ton of fun. It's got everything. It's got parachuting. It's got squirrel suit gliding, mountain biking, snowboarding, all the extreme sports you could think of wrapped into one bundle. And what they do is they do challenges really well. And there's like this collectability aspect to it, like task completions, do X, Y, and Z to get this achievement and mark this off. It's the extreme sports game out there on the market right now. I don't think that there's anyone competing. So this is exciting. I think this is going to be correct. Again, just given his track record, Extras track record here on Twitter. Go follow him on Twitter. I got his account pulled up. Make sure you give him a follow. He's been like 5 for 5 in the last 5. 5 out of 5 for the last 5 is a pretty good record. Up next, we learned right here from the historian, Liam Robertson, about Crash Bandicoot 5, that this was discussed at Activision. It was going to be a Spyro Crash Bandicoot crossover, and eventually they moved on for it. Now, if that's true, and if they had plans to do it, and if it was, starting to, I would love to see something like this. First of all, I think we need to get a new Spyro. I also think we should bring Crash back 100% in the modern era. The definitive edition, the trilogy, I've been playing it. It's so good. These stand the test of time for sure. This is from PureXbox.com. Here's what it says. A huge new report from game historian Liam Robertson has dropped over the weekend, detailing apparent plans for a Crash Bandicoot 5 and why Activision decided to go in a different direction instead. According to the report, the game was being conceptualized following the release of Crash 4 before Activision Blizzard eventually pulled the plug to focus on other projects. It said that ultimately Activision wanted more live service projects in the pipeline, leading to the cancellation of Crash 5. But I would love it. When the project was being worked on at developer Toys for Bob, multiple different takes on the next mainline Crash title were being discussed, including one where the series crossed over with another famous Activision platform, Spyro the Dragon. I would love that to come to pass. I loved Spyro. I grew up on Spyro. Spyro was a ton of fun. Crash obviously still stands the test of time. I don't know how you would bring the two together. One is more linear, one is more open. They obviously have different powers. It looks like in this artwork, maybe this is concept artwork, that Crash is riding Spyro. That could be really cool. Regardless, Xbox, If you're watching, bring it back. The people want a Crash Spyro crossover. Call it Crash Spyro. The Spyro Crash. I don't know what you call it, but I would love to see it. Would love to know what you guys think. Would you like to see this? Would you play? Do you think it would work? Or would you just, let's keep them separate. Let's have them drop. I do think we do need an updated Spyro. Would love to see it. I think Spyro, a ton of fun. Ton of fun to play. Would love to see it come to modern consoles for sure. With that, let's jump into Concord, because I'm seeing a lot of coverage here around this. I'm seeing people kind of talk past each other. And when this trailer first dropped, when the Concord trailer first dropped, when it was first in beta, my brother actually played it over on the X1 Bros. That's the weekly Xbox podcast that I do. Go check them out, x1bros.com. Or x1bros.com actually will take you there. But we discussed this, and I said it at the time, and that's the reason this failed. I said, where does this fit in? It doesn't make sense to me where this fits in. This Concord failed for one reason. Everybody's talking around it. Everyone's saying, oh, it's because they went woke. No, I don't think that helped, but that's not the reason. Everyone's saying, oh, it's because there was no marketing. No, I don't think that helped either. I mean, there was definitely some marketing around it. Oh, it's because it costs $40 and it's not free to play. No, I don't think that helped either, but I don't think that's the reason. The only reason is it's lost. It's vanilla. It doesn't stand out. So there's a crowded market. First mover advantage. It's an economic principle. It's a business principle. Means that you have a huge advantage when you're first to market. You can grab up the whole market. What happens when you're a second mover is you got to do one of two things. You can be just as good as first mover. It doesn't matter. You can't be just as good. When there's already someone in the industry, people aren't going to jump ship if you're just as good. You have to be either exponentially better or wildly different. You have to bring something unique to the table. And Concord, when you watch the trailers, when you watch people play it, and by all measures, a lot of people think that the game's fun. It looks fun. I've watched streamers play it. I've seen my brother played it. He said it's fun. Tight gunplay, pretty fun. But it's lost in no man's land. It's in a saturated niche or a genre. Let's say genre. It's in a saturated genre, and it doesn't set itself apart. And it may be good, but just being good is not enough in a saturated market. You have to be exponentially better. And so they tried to get in on a market that, first of all, I don't know that there's a huge demand anymore for that. I think it's probably 6 years too late to the game on it. And then you didn't do anything wildly different. So over the weekend, it did get peak on Steam. It got peak 697 concurrent players. That is terrible. That is beyond terrible. That is a failure of epic proportions. To put that in perspective, I mean, think about health. So here's an example of one that Sony did correctly, or at least one that as a publisher they did correctly. Helldivers. When Helldivers dropped, what was it? It's the brand new take on a shooter-looter genre. That's exactly what it was, and it's a ton of fun. And so it had a ton of success and absolutely crushed it. Concord didn't. It just didn't. And that's just the reality. You could see it in the trailers. I think what happened is a lot of people... I saw some people that I respect and some people that I like really dig their heels in on this game and really want it to succeed because they felt like there's some people that I know who felt that it was being unfairly accused of being woke. And there's also people that I know that thought that it was woke in the characters and stuff. And all that is just noise. All that's just noise. If you just look at the game. It didn't fulfill, it does nothing to set itself apart. I don't know why they thought it would succeed in that space. There's nothing, maybe they thought there was a slice of the pie. I mean, clearly they thought there was a slice of the pie they could take off, but you're not doing anything different. You're not doing anything unique. You're not doing anything better than anybody else out there. So it just makes it really hard. I would love to know what you guys think though. Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think it was because they're marketing? Do you think it was because the game was $40? I think none of that helped. Do you think it was because it was woke? Not because it was woke? I don't think any of that helped. I think all that's just noise, though. I think ultimately it's that they didn't set themselves apart. They didn't do anything better. They're in a crowded market. That's it. The minute I saw this trailer, that was my first thought. Like, okay, well, where does this fit in? I don't get it. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Nope, there wasn't anything I'm missing. Clearly, 697 concurrent players is just not good. So there you go. We'll see if they continue to support this or if they turn this around. Let's jump to this and wrap it up with this last story here. This comes from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. And he says Xbox exclusive video game strategy leaves everyone confused. Does it, though? I don't think it does. I think he's making it confused. Also, I do think he has a little bit of beef with Phil Spencer. At least that's how it comes across. And we'll go over it here in a minute. So, to be clear, here's Xbox exclusive strategy. All Xbox games, day one. First party titles, day one on Game Pass. Whether or not they go cross-platform is on a case-by-case scenario. And then it seems like those are timed exclusives as of right now. We got our first timed exclusive with Indiana Jones. I don't understand why that's so confusing. I don't understand why that's being made a big deal. Do you? I mean, it's definitely a shift. If you want to say it's a shift, if you want to say it's a shift that's not going to work, that's one thing. But I don't think it's confusing. I don't think we're getting mixed messaging here. I think Jason Schreier, I think people on Twitter, I think other journalists are purposely muddying the water. I think they've got an axe to grind, or at least it seems like this. And let's actually go down here. You can imagine what he says. They're saying different things. It said they're ditching the console. I don't know what. It doesn't make any sense. Here, let's start here. This is like the end of his article, and this is where I think he gives away the game. I think he's got a personal vendetta. Not vendetta, maybe too hard. I think Phil Spencer offended him, and I don't know Jason Schreier. He's clearly very successful. He's clearly a great writer. He clearly has insider knowledge, but I just disagree. There's nothing confusing here. I'm not confused. Well, you're just a fanboy. Okay, that's fine. I'm still not confused. Here's what Spencer says. Spencer admitted here's what Schreier says. When we're picking up, maybe here we go. It's hard to discern why Xbox is chasing. It's not hard. There we go. I can't read. It's not hard to discern why Xbox is chasing PlayStation players. Former Xbox exclusives, Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, have seen big audiences on the rival platform. He's correct. And this year has been all about cutting costs and generating more profit for Xbox, which has faced increased scrutiny from Microsoft since the Activision purchase, Bloomberg has reported. Spencer admitted as much this week when asked about the decision to put Indiana Jones on PlayStation. Quote, "We run a business," he said. "It's definitely true inside of Microsoft. The bar is high for us in terms of the delivery that we have to give back to the company because we get a level of support from the company that's just amazing in what we're able to go do." Or, he says, this is Schreier speaking now, reading between the lines, "Microsoft let us spend $69 billion to buy Activision, and now we'd better deliver." Yeah, but I don't. First of all, that's not you don't approve that if you expect instantaneous results. That's a 5-year investment. If after 5 years that hasn't, turned itself around, and second of all, there already is instantaneous results, but I don't think it quite works like that. And yet journalists keep assuming that it's this like, we spent $69 billion, we better make $100 billion tomorrow. It's not how. Ask any venture capitalist that puts millions into companies. They don't expect an immediate return. That's not how these work. But all of Spencer's changes have made the Xbox hardware less valuable to potential audiences. The best move, the winning move, this is Jason Schreier's opinion. The winning move would be for Spencer and his team to eschew exclusives and rethink its console strategy entirely. Here is where I think he gives away the game. In 2017, this is Jason Schreier writing, I wrote on Twitter that Xbox had, let me actually highlight this. In 2017, I wrote on Twitter that Xbox had clearly lost the hardware war to PlayStation and should consider transforming its consoles into living room PCs with open operating systems that could run any computer game. As the company behind Windows operating system, Microsoft is in a unique position to sell machines that combine the convenience and affordability of consoles with the flexibility of PCs. At the time, Spencer called the notion strange. But what's really strange is not knowing where or when your games are going to be released. That's a shot. That's a shot fired. And this gives away the game to me because clearly, when he wrote that on Twitter and Phil Spencer responded with strange, he's been holding on to that because that's a shot back at him right here. And I think things are a little more personal than he makes it out. And if not personal, at least he was waiting. He had that line ready to go and was waiting to pounce on it. The video game strategy leaves everyone confused. No, it doesn't. I genuinely don't understand what's confused. If you're watching this and you're like, you're wrong, it's definitely confusing, please explain to me in comments why it's confusing. The only people who are making it confusing are journalists like this that are purposely, it seems to me, trying to muddy the water. And I think, again, I don't know. I have no insider information here, but just based on the writing here, I think this gives away the game. I think he said he had this intellectual, I'm a journalist, intellectual take on what Xbox should do with their console. Phil Spencer responded, strange. And he got offended, and this is his vengeance here. And if you think people aren't that petty, all you got to do is pay attention to Twitter for a hot second. Everyone is that petty, particularly journalists. At least that's been my experience. So that's my opinion on that. I don't think it's confusing. Again, every single first-party title, day one on Game Pass, some will go timed exclusives. It will be on a case-by-case basis and where they make sense. And so far, wait for it. So far, every single one of them, including Indiana Jones, have made sense, at least to me. You may disagree with me. You may be watching this and raging right now at your computer. If you do, let me know. Seriously, let me know, because so far in all the comments of all the people that have left that are like, you're just wrong, no one's presented any evidence otherwise. In fact, a lot of them are just wildly misinformed. So I would like to finally get a comment from someone who's informed to explain what exactly is confusing here. If you're just paying attention, you can see what they're doing. You can see the strategy, and the strategy is Game Pass centric. That'll do us today, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. Come join us on Discord. Join the community. Join the conversation. That will be pinned to the comments below. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.